In central Zimbabwe, British conservationist David Youlden has dedicated his life to saving the iconic African lion. At Antelope Park, he helps to raise cubs as part of a unique conservation program.
The aim of the program is to release captive-bred lions into a semi-wild environment such as this one, where they will have cubs. And those cubs will be raised without the intervention or contact with humans at all. And it's those cubs, when old enough, can be released back into the wilds of Africa.
7 lions raised by David are ready for release, and a long-held ambition is moving one step closer. It's winter at Antelope Park, the middle of the dry season, and it's bitterly cold. Despite the freezing conditions, this morning, David Youlden's checking the Ingarmo Pride. These 7 female lions are about to take part in a groundbreaking release.
This morning I've come up here on this frankly cold and windy morning to see the Ingarmo release Pride. This is going to be the last time that they get fed before we release them. So it's just a final chance just to check them over, see how the Pride is acting together now, and see if there are any differences once they're actually released.
This kind of release has only been tried once before. In 2007, 2 males and 5 females were set free in a 500-acre site, 2 hours from Antelope Park.
I'm nervous, I'm excited. I can't wait to get the gate open, and these are the keys. Go on, go.
The 2007 Pride included female Fire, whom David had nursed since she was a cub.
Fire's my little kiddie. From the moment I picked her up when she was this big, to see her out here, you know, where she's supposed to be, she can go out and live the life that, you know, she was born to be.
At first, the release went smoothly. Just 3 days in, and the Pride made their first kill.
Our program is working. This is it. This is how it is supposed to be happening.
But then Fire was found separated from the Pride.
What we need to try and work out is whether she's had a fight with Maxwell at some point overnight, and that's injuries, or has she already been at the kill, and that's blood from that.
She's making her way towards the group. There's a bit of growling. And now the whole Pride's together.
Slowly, Fire and the Pride patched up their differences and proved that David's dream could work. Sadly, the release was short-lived. Political and economic upheaval in Zimbabwe forced the team to bring the lions back to Antelope Park. The Pride was split up and the release site closed with the intention of rebuilding it in a new location. 2 years on, and with just days to go, David has no illusions about the task ahead.
Things are going to go wrong. Something might go wrong this time round. But all we can do is prepare these lions as best we can and then give them the opportunities to live as natural a life as possible. That is how the program has to work. And I don't doubt that these lions can do that.
This time, Fire, Ashanti and Kenge from the original release have been joined by 4 other females. The group have bonded well, and David is confident they will make a successful Pride. With this chance of freedom, they'll soon be put to the test.
Overall, you can see that this Pride is nicely settled. They're all interacting well together. Some are playful, some are quiet, some are aggressive, some aren't. Some can hunt, some can't. But they all will have a role in this release group and will contribute to the success of this program.
For David, How his favourite, Fire, fits in is his greatest concern.
She is a playful, exuberant, stroppy kind of a lion. She does nothing at all to help this pride hunt. Whenever we've seen them hunting, she literally stands at one side and watches. She's aggressive when it comes to food, so we're going to have to see how her role actually fits when this pride is released. We think that she's going to be a very good mother because she's extremely protective.
But Fire and the females face one more challenge. Shortly after their release, a male will be introduced to the pride.
This is Milo, which, as you can see, is an extremely aggressive animal. He may have been raised in captivity, he may have been walked when he was younger, but now he's this old, he has no love of people whatsoever. He's a perfect choice for this pride. We've seen, just from Milo living next to the girls for quite a long time now, they regularly come up to the fence to greet him, and they get a much more pleasant response than I'm getting now. So I'm going to get out of his way so we don't overexcite him, and then he's going to have something to eat. Now Milo's got some food, he's calmed down a little, and that gives you a good chance to have a really good look at him. He is a perfectly formed male. He's got a great mane on him, it's a nice colour, it's a good length, he's got underbelly hair as well. He is a really strong and healthy animal. And he is going to father the cubs that will eventually get released into the wild. He has a very important role to play.
Milo's success rests on a smooth introduction to the pride, and only time will tell whether they accept him without a fight. The race is on to complete the Ingarmo release site. The fence is finished, but now the team must introduce game animals for the lions to hunt. Before that can happen, the project's founder, Andrew Connolly, must make sure there is a continuous supply of fresh water.
Okay, we're bringing a pipeline from about 1 kilometre away for the water supply, because actually in this area there's no natural water during the dry season. So we've been quite fortunate. We found a very natural water pan, and we're bringing water in, and by this evening we'll switch on water. And then when we bring in the impala and the wildebeest and the zebra tomorrow, there will be water for them here.
After the devastating blow of losing the last release site, Andrew is determined that this will be the perfect location for Fire and the Ingarmo Pride to spend the rest of their lives.
It is ideal for lions. It's got undulating ground, lots of high hills that the lions can look down on. It's a good windy area, so they can pick up the scent of the animals. So very exciting, a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of time, effort by a lot of people gone into this. So for us, it's a very, very exciting stage.
As the release moves one step closer, at the nursery camp, 5-week-old males Chisa and Chundu and their sister Chobi are just starting their journey through the release program. Born in captivity at Antelope Park, David is being introduced to them for the first time by lion manager Leanne Marnock.
Here we've got the 3 C's. We've got Chundu, who's the biggest one. Then we've got his sister Chobi and his brother Chisa. Now, Chobi's the smallest, her being the female. And Chisa, he's got a sort of longish face and his ears look very pricked up, so that's how we tell them apart. The characters are coming through now. Chundu's got the most active, bouncy character. The other 2, they're a bit quiet, but he's definitely got the best character in this group.
Within the programme here, we take the cubs away from their mother at 3 weeks old. If we take them out too early, the bond to the human can be too strong, and that can give us safety issues later on because they don't really see a boundary. But if we leave it too late, then the cubs have a really hard time bonding at all, don't feel secure, and therefore are unlikely to follow us out into the bush. What we found just over the years is 3 weeks seems to work well, that they can link with us enough to feel safe and follow us, but they still maintain enough distance that our safety when they get bigger is the best we can achieve.
It is exciting to see them grow and see the stuff that they do. We don't teach them anything. The instinct is always there. So to see them stalking each other and playing and seeing new things, it's great.
They are young, they do get tired easily, so fairly quickly it's everyone back to the den, cuddle up in a corner because it's freezing this morning, and go to sleep.
For now, Chisa, Chobi and Chundu have plenty of time to relax and keep warm in the comfort of their new home. But in the next few days, David will take them on their first ever bush walk. At Antelope Park in central Zimbabwe, David Youlden is about to release Fire and the Theungarmo Pride into a semi-wild enclosure where he hopes they'll breed with red-blooded male Milo. Brought up without human intervention, this pride's cubs will be the first to be released into the wilds of Africa. But with the release just days away, the project hits serious trouble.
There is an enormous fire coming in from our neighbouring farm. At the moment, it's the entire horizon and rapidly coming in this direction. So today is every hand drop, whatever you're doing, go put this thing out.
With so many lions in enclosures, it's impossible to sedate and evacuate every one of them safely. So the fire must be stopped before it reaches Antelope Park. David's only chance is to gather every available person. Almost 100 staff and volunteers will have to put out the raging bushfire by hand.
Can this group head down to A-frame 3 and help Jerome? Just keep following down there.
Teams are sent to stop the worst fires in as many locations as possible. It's thought that the fire started at a nearby farm, and guide Roy Stephan has been monitoring its progress.
This fire, by the looks of it, 8, maybe 9 k's long. Our main concern though is if it gets into the park, it's the lines that we've got strategically placed all over the park. So yeah, and the wind is against us, so it's going to be a long haul.
Volunteers are fighting a vast 8-kilometre wall of fire.
Once it gets to about there, is see if you can try and come behind it. Guys, this side.
In the chaos, David does his best to get everyone working together, but the fire is getting out of control.
There comes a point where you actually can't do anything at all. All we can do is hope that over successive paths and roads, you get a low point in the wind. This dies down a bit and you can get in and put some out, but it's really hot. No.
The strong wind is fanning the flames, so every opportunity must be taken when the gusts drop. If it's not brought under control, a fire like this could burn hundreds of kilometres, devastate grazing areas, and destroy the park's buildings and lion enclosures.
Just spread along here a bit, just in case it tries to cross.
Finally, David and the team make a stand at the park's boundary fence.
If it jumps the fence, there's really very little to stop it just burning through on this side. So yeah, ideally, we've got 2 small roads either side of this fence. Ideally, we can stop it before it jumps over. Because once it's through here, we ain't ever stopping it.
The fire must be extinguished before it reaches tinder-dry vegetation within the park.
The wind gets behind it and pushes it so quickly. Some of the flames can reach 40 feet. You can't get within any distance to tackle it. As you can see, these things get big and out of control quick.
The fire has already burned an estimated 20,000 acres. But bolstered by more and more volunteers, the team begin to gain the upper hand.
We've got a motor here that's able to pump water out onto, just to try and limit how quickly the fire moves through. But I think we've got enough people here now that hopefully we'll just keep beating it back and eventually we'll win. But it's difficult to breathe.
After 6 exhausting hours, the battle is finally won.
This is the last bit left and should be out in a few moments.
Moments later, there's good news from Andrew Connolly and the rest of the cruise.
I think we're getting on top of the situation now. We've got the backbone and lots of people, thank you, and I think we're on top of it.
Next day, and it's business as usual for David. For the last few months, one cub in particular has been the focus of his attention. With his dark orange fur, 10-month-old male Moyo is easy to recognize. But since arriving from outside Antelope Park, he's been withdrawn and uncomfortable around humans. Unlike Moyo, the two females in his group, Mika and Carly, were born here as part of the captive breeding program, and they're confident and social. But several months of bushwalks with the playful females has brought reclusive Moyo out of his shell.
Since the last time I walked out with them, Moyo's getting more engaged with the group. Even while the girls were playing, he would still seem to sit off to one side. He's integrating nicely into this group. And they look nice and comfortable together, and they are becoming more engaged with the environment around them. When they're younger, it's all insular. It's just find a spot and, you know, play with the occasional the occasional stick, anything that's like right by them at the time. Whereas now, particularly with Carly, they're actually scanning the whole area around them. They're broadening their horizons and they're developing, and that's what we need for them. We have brought them to a part of the park they don't come to that often. And so we can already see the playful exuberance when they were in an area that they're quite comfortable with, that they spend a lot of time in. Now, except for Mika here, who's decided to play, the other two particularly have really calmed down, and they're just cautiously moving through this area and smelling a lot. It is winter here, and we're in a little sheltered woody area, and I think quite a few of the animals that live in this park shelter in these kind of areas overnight, so I think there's quite a lot of scents for them to pick up. So yeah, Moyo and Carly are really exploring. Mika, who is always the most playful lion, actually she's bored of that now, and she's looking again for a chance to play.
One female in particular is impressing David with her progress.
There was a kudu quite far away, probably about 50 metres from us, but Carly immediately saw it, and that doesn't surprise me because on all the walks that Carly's on, she's out at the front, she's alert to her surroundings, and she quite often is the first to pick up if there's any prey around. Mika's going in the same direction, but I think Mika's just doing that because she's following Carly. I don't think she's necessarily actually seen the animals, and Moyo's too busy just mooching around in the long grass to the left. These lions have got to, if they really attempted, do have a chance of bringing down something as small as a young kudu. But that mother is far too observant. They're never going to get anywhere near. But this is fine. Carly's getting some experience, and she's learning that when she moves forward, that animal is going to run away. So next time, hopefully it will twig in her head that if she's a bit more subtle about the whole thing, then she's going to get nearer. It's just about allowing her repeated opportunities to practice.
Carly's got a lot to learn before she makes her first successful kill. And with Moyo and Mika more interested in playing than learning to hunt, she's unlikely to get help anytime soon.
The very playful lions tend not to be particularly good hunters. I mean, they all get it to some extent, but I don't know whether it's just a matter of concentration. You see playful lions just are so easily distracted, and hunting game is a patience game. It takes skill and patience. They simply haven't got it yet, but it will come. It's enough just to explore. I mean, there's so many things out in the bush for them to sniff and play with. It'll keep them busy for a few more months yet. until they're big enough and smart enough to actually have a proper attempt at hunting.
For Fire and the Ingarmo Pride, their teamwork will soon be tested. Once released as a pride, they will only eat what they can hunt down themselves. The moment of truth is close. At the release site, the final part of the puzzle is being put in place.
Without water, none of this works. The animals need that. So all of this area should flood out nicely, and we'll have to see once the water's in just how high it goes. But we're hoping that this will be really quite a nice sized water hole. I know the pump is on. It's going to take about 20 minutes before the water starts flowing here, and then hopefully over the next 24 hours this area will fill up.
Years of hard effort is starting to pay off.
The work that's gone into preparing this site is enormous. I mean, there are so many people in the background, all heading in one direction. It's all for this one pride that's going to be released in here so that they can have cubs. That is what it's all for. We're nearly there now, but each day we're seeing another aspect of the site become finished. In the next couple of days, the prey species are going to arrive. So it's building up. I'm starting to feel really quite excited, but also nervous. I mean, how are the lions going to do? We've seen them do well before, but are they going to do as well this time round? So we've given the lions a bit of a challenge, but I have no doubt that they can overcome it, and I can't wait to watch them try.
David won't have to wait long. In the next few days, Fire and the Ingarmo Pride will become the masters of their own wilderness. With everything they need to survive, what happens next is down to them. The African lion is under threat. In the last 30 years, the population has fallen by over 80%. But in central Zimbabwe,
Good boy, come on.
British conservationist David Youlden is trying to save them.
Lions, to me, are an integral part of going out into the bush. They're an amazing animal, but they're also incredibly ecologically important to the health of the whole ecosystem. If you don't have lions, the whole system starts to break down.
In a groundbreaking conservation program,
Hey, my girl.
David hopes to help save the African lion and protect the wilds of Africa. At Antelope Park, the animals are on the move. In just 3 days, these lions will be released into a huge semi-wild enclosure, where it's hoped they'll give birth to the program's first generation of truly wild cubs. Although construction of the release site is almost complete, there's one big task ahead.
Obviously, one of the most important aspects for the success of the release site is the presence of prey species on which the release lions are going to sustain themselves. So we've brought in a game capture unit to move the animals into the release site, and it's really a huge operation.
With over 100 animals and 3 different species to capture, dozens of staff and volunteers have been brought in to help the specialist game capture team. Moving animals is complicated, dangerous, and hugely expensive. David can't afford to have anything go wrong.
It's early morning, it's now about 7 o'clock, and I've been here since 6, just as the final preparations for this game capture are being put together. The helicopter will fly out and try and find some game and then corral it into this boma, which is sort of a V shape. It's going to be exciting stuff, it's going to be extremely hectic, very noisy, but you know, this is a huge step forward for the release area.
Hey, I need help, guys. I need help.
Flying as low as 15 metres to round up wildebeest, zebra and impala, helicopter pilot Nick Lagrange has one of the most dangerous jobs.
I enjoy this type of flying. It's very challenging, obviously, but you're always doing pretty much what you train not to do. I don't think there's a better job for job satisfaction. I love my job. I've got the best office in the world.
Now everyone's in place, the game capture can begin. Within minutes, Nick locates a herd of wildebeest. Now he skillfully drives them towards the capture site. Helped by the ground team, he forces the animals towards the opening of the boma. When the wildebeest are inside, a siren sounds and the green curtains covering the opening are shut to keep the animals in. The wildebeest are funneled down the boma, and within minutes, the first lot of game have been secured.
The helicopter's gone out and brought the first amount of game in. At the moment, we've got our first set of wildebeest in here. So the game capture crew and vets are currently jabbing them with a mild sedative, which will just chill them out a bit. It all seems nice and calm, so I think it's going well.
A herd of 18 wildebeest is a great start. To minimise stress, they're moved onto a waiting truck and will be quickly taken to the release site.
It's a very short distance. It's only going to take us 10 minutes or so to get to the release area where we can offload this, the first herd that we've caught. Today it's a bit of a lottery for the animals. Those are the lucky ones that are going to get to live nice and free on Antelope Park with just the youngest cubs to have to deal with. The ones on the truck, they are going to have to deal with our release pride.
It may seem harsh, but in the wild, game animals have to deal with predators like lions, hyenas and leopards on a daily basis. These animals are fast and well adapted to avoid capture, so in this vast enclosure, they have a good chance of outsmarting the hungry lions.
The first game is now in our release area. We've still got zebra, we've got impala still to do. It's going to be a very long day, but this is a really important moment. This is probably the first time wild animals have roamed on this piece of land for a very, very long time. And of course, that's lion food running off there.
With almost immediate success, the team move on to capture a more challenging species. Impala are nervy creatures and likely to scatter, so the team will have to work hard to keep them together.
This time, I've come inside the boma. I can hear the helicopter has gone up, and we're looking for a herd of impala.
Driven by Nick in the helicopter, the impala head towards the enclosure. The curtain behind them is closed. Able to run at almost 60 miles per hour and jump 10 meters in a single leap, these fast antelopes are difficult to get under control. The team herd the impala toward the next section where David is waiting.
Lost one. Open one.
As he pulls the curtain, one impala escapes.
Go.
But the lone impala is soon drawn back to the herd.
We did our bit. We closed the gate, but one managed to get through before we could get it across. But the gate behind us was closed, so we just had to open it a bit, let it run through, and then close them all in.
The sharp-horned male impala must now be separated to stop them causing accidental injury to the females.
This is one of the most dangerous elements of game capture when you're dealing with these very fast, very skittish animals with big horns. At the moment,
The rest of the guys are inside the truck with the rest of the herd. And you can just hear from the noise that's going on as the impala freak out. There are horns leaping around in there. It's extremely dangerous. This one is now being just pulled to the ground, given a sedation, and rubber being tied around the horns. Without that rubber, this male would thrash around inside the truck and could severely injure the other impala that are in there. Game capture really is one of the most dangerous jobs you can do. These guys are hardcore.
Operations Manager Nathan Webb is monitoring everyone's safety.
The horns will go straight through us and impale you, and not very nice, so you have to be careful. I mean, even though they're small, you do have to be careful. All animals are dangerous.
A short time later, the impala join the wildebeest at the release site. The team have worked for 10 grueling hours and caught over 100 animals. Just one species remains: zebra.
It's now late afternoon and the helicopter had real trouble with this particular capture, just going backwards and forwards, trying to coax these animals into the boma.
The capture of this herd of zebra means the team have finally caught all their target prey species for this first planned game release.
Yeah, it's been going well. We've got just got another 5 zebra, so that makes a total about 11, I think. It's been a long process. It's been step by step. Every day we're saying get a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Now the game's actually in and it's close. It's going to be good.
The successful day ends years of hard work preparing a natural release site for the Ingarmo Pride. David's dream is becoming a reality.
That's a really beautiful sight. It's been a really long day. The sun's going down, the moon's already up, but we've put a whole load of different prey species into this just stunning release area. So this land is now ready for the lions.
The game will be given time to settle. But for now, everything is in place for the Ingarmo Pride's journey to freedom. At Antelope Park's release site, the recently introduced game are settling in. Soon, 7 lions called the Theungarmo Pride will join them in this semi-wild enclosure in the hope that they'll learn to live independently and breed.
Come.
Having spent an exhausting day catching game for the Pride to hunt, this morning, David Yulden's taking time out to relax with some of his other lions. Before lions can be considered to survive on their own, youngsters go through rigorous pre-release training. By the time the lions are 14 months old, many of them will have made their first kill. But not all lions are natural-born hunters.
Solani, Maggie, come on. Hello.
Meggie lives with her brother, Tulani.
Hello.
Disappointingly, they haven't had any successful hunts, and David is keen to see progress.
This morning we're taking out 2 16-month-old lions. It's brother and sister, Tulani here on the left, and this is Meggie on the right. And at this age, it's really about when their first kill is going to happen. They've shown some good form, but as yet they haven't quite got it together to actually bring an animal down. What we're seeing as they're walking along, whoever is behind just keeps ankle tapping the one in front. That might look a very subtle and inconsequential event, but actually the ankle tap is a form that they'll use in their hunting later on. They'll run up behind an impala, for example, stick out a paw, trip it over, and then they can catch whatever the animal is. At the moment, this pair have found a nice anthill to sit on, which gives them a really good view all the way down the open flay here. And actually, given the choice, they'll probably would sit here the entire day, just listening to the sounds, picking up the scents that are coming in on the wind. And if something happened to walk through this area, they'd probably give it a bit of a hunt.
But it's very much at this age that we expect lions to be making their first kills. Maybe a bird, a mongoose, nothing too dramatic. But once they've got that first kill, it's like something changes in their mind. They're less interested in playing and more interested in seeing what's around. It is an obvious and clear change. Both of them are very keenly looking in that direction, and Tulani has decided to go and check it out. What have you seen, boy?
A herd of impala have moved into open ground. The siblings see an opportunity to impress.
Meggie has gone into stalk mode. It's not the most technically expert stalk, but it's pretty reasonable. And what she's doing is banking around the right-hand side. Meggie has actually split this impala herd into two. One part of it has now moved into these trees to try and get some shelter. And Tulani is now going for it. Meggie is coming in from the right, and Tulani has now got involved and is trying to stalk through the long grass. They have a higher chance of success if they now approach from each side of this impala herd.
Tulani holds his position, and Meggie takes her chance. But she breaks cover too early, and the impala make their escape.
She went for a bit of a charge, and unfortunately the impala had a head start, but she got reasonably close. That was some good stuff from her. Some good stalking. She got up to speed on the chase, and if she keeps doing that, one day she's going to be successful.
David's encouraged by what he's seen today. Maybe soon Meggie and Tulani will get it right. But before they can be released, these playful youngsters will have to prove that they can fend for themselves. The time is fast approaching when the 7 female lions of the Ingarmo Pride must survive alone. Tomorrow, they'll be released. There's one last chance for David to check on the introduced game at the release site.
Well, I've driven through the middle of the site, and they all seem nice and calm and settled in this site. So the only thing now is to check in on the water hole and just make sure that all of these animals are finding the water sources that we've put for them in this site.
The signs are good. The game have remained in family groups, and in this natural environment, they'll breed and provide the pride with prey to thrive on.
Well, the water hole has filled up really nicely, and we can see that the animals are starting to use this water hole. It's looking good.
The game have settled well, but with just hours until the big release, there's a serious problem that's about to put the lion team to the test.
Come on, Gilly, come. Nala, come.
It's around about 10:15 at night, and we've come up to the holding enclosures of the Ingarmo Release Pride.
Come.
And this evening we are going to be putting collars onto each of these lions. It's the final step before they get released.
It's vital the Ingarmo Pride are radio collared, so they can be tracked after release. But due to problems importing the needed anaesthetic, it's only just arrived. The release can't be delayed.
Come, Nala, come on.
So the team are going to have to work through the night.
Okay, 9 ears through.
First task is to separate the lions into 2 groups that will be easier to handle.
Come on, Gilly, come.
With 3 females in a separate enclosure, the veterinary staff make a plan. Doses of anaesthetic must be precisely matched to the weight of each lion. and everyone must be alert for any sign of a dangerous reaction to the drug.
I'm a little nervous. There is a danger for these lions. We've had cases where lions have not woken up from the sedation, but we put our trust into the vets and the team that we have here that everything will go well.
Even for experienced vet, Dr. Sundasiwe Gumbo, this is a difficult challenge.
To be honest with you, it's my first time to have darted these lions during the night. But if you start panicking, everything goes wrong. You just have to be in control of the situation.
Because the lions have been darted before, they're wary. So lion manager Leanne Marnock has a plan.
We've got a piece of meat to try and coax them closer, and then we'll try and get them to the corner, and hopefully their attention will be on the meat and not on the pulse range itself.
Come on. Come.
We're going to go for Narnia, because she's the skittish of all of them. Because if we do the other two first, it's going to alarm her and she'll stay away.
Come on.
David helps attract Narnia to the edge of the enclosure.
Come to us, Dave.
With one lion darted, the others are cautious, but David knows them well and keeps them close to the fence.
Kwali's done.
Yes. Go to sleep.
Soon, Kwali is darted too,
Hey, Kenge.
leaving the most difficult lion until last, because Kenge's old collar must be replaced.
Come on.
Kenge is too smart for this.
Come on.
Kenge might be a bit of a problem.
Hey, Kenge.
Focused on the offer of food, Kenge is finally caught off guard. In a few minutes, they'll all be asleep.
These lions, this particular pride is so special. This is the first group of our lions that are going to breed and produce the cubs that will eventually get released into the wild. They are the pioneers for this program. So we want all of them to come through this and to be able to be released and experience the life out in a wild environment.
The team must move fast before the lions wake. Radio collars are fitted, blood samples will be tested for any signs of disease, and measurements are recorded.
Pad height 5.1, back width 10.8.
After each lion is collared, a reversal drug is administered. The rush is on to move the lions back to their enclosure before they wake.
Dealing with lions, obviously, and the safety of the lions is priority. We've got to get them through it all together, and then the safety of us. We've got to make sure that we don't get hurt in the process, and it's got to be clear all around.
But as Kenge is moved to the adjoining enclosure, Narnia surprises everyone by unexpectedly waking up.
Okay, go.
Narnia, who was first to go down, was the first to wake up, even a couple of minutes sooner than we thought she would. And we still had to push Kenge into the next enclosure, so it was close, but fine.
Fire. Come on.
A few minutes later, and all three lions come round safely. Now just 4 lions remain, and David is anxious to complete the job.
The others are wise to our ideas and are really not playing ball at all. I think it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, which means we've been going for approximately 3.5 hours or something. I'm very, very tired. And frankly, I've been ready for bed for quite a while now. And I also know that I have to get up in about 3 hours. So it's a very long night.
With just an hour until sunrise, the last lions are collared, and David's ready to say goodbye to the final female, his favourite, Fire.
This is the last time I'm going to get the opportunity to be this close to Fire, the cub I raised right from the get-go. And she's absolutely beautiful, and a huge privilege to have got to know in a way that other people never will.
At dawn, the Ingarmo Pride will get their first taste of freedom.
In just a few short hours now, they're getting released. And that's what this program's about. It's
We've done everything for these lions that we can. We've prepared them, looked after them, their welfare. We've given the opportunities to them to learn what they need to survive out in a wild environment. And tomorrow they're going to get to do that.
British conservationist David Youlden has reached a landmark moment in his attempt to help save the iconic African lion.
All we can do is give them the opportunities to live as natural a life as possible.
7 female lions called the Ingarmo Pride are about to be released into a semi-wild enclosure. Prey species have been introduced.
That's lion food running off there.
And the lions have been radio collared so they can be tracked. This morning, the pride will be set free.
We've seen them do well before, but are they going to do as well this time round? I can't wait to watch them try.
At Antelope Park in central Zimbabwe, the future of the lion conservation program rests with 7 female lions. Led by alpha female Ashanti, they've lived together for 2 years and have bonded well.
The final moment has arrived that these lions are going to get released into what is known as the Ingarmo release site, which is just over here on my left.
If they prove they can survive on their own, in a week's time they'll be joined by 8-year-old male Milo in the hope they'll breed.
The first step is to let these lions through into a passageway adjacent to the site itself, and then the release can happen. Come on, you've never been out here before.
David's final task is to call the pride into a holding pen that opens onto the girls' new territory.
Who's first? Kenge, come on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7 is coming through. Come on, Narnia. You're always last. Come on.
But skittish Narnia isn't too sure.
Narnia, come on, please. There's always one lion that doesn't want to move. Today, that lion is Narnia. Come on.
Finally, David manages to coax her through.
This is it. The lion's now in the holding enclosure, the final passageway before the release gate. In a few minutes' time, this gang is going to get released.
The event begins on time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honourable Minister of the Environment and Natural Resources.
Project founder Andrew Connolly has reached a turning point after 20 years of dedicated work.
40 years ago, back in 1970, there was 230,000 lions across the continent of Africa. That number today has decreased to possibly as low as 16,000 with some estimates. So the lions of Africa are dying, and we believe that we are able to do something about it.
The final words are left to Zimbabwe's Minister of Environment and Natural Resources, Francis Nyema.
As man, we want to conquer everything. But we lost something in the process. We lost our relationship with wilderness. It's only when man walks together with wilderness, with wildlife, that he fulfills himself as a person. It is time for us to repair the damage. So today, what you have done goes beyond Zimbabwe. It teaches the rest of the world that for this planet to be complete, for us to reach fulfillment, we must live in harmony with nature.
Come on.
Can we clap, please?
Just one short step for the Ingarmo Pride, and they'll have to fend for themselves without human intervention.
Come on. Come on.
First through the gate is 5-year-old Fire, with whom David shares a special bond.
Fire was first.
Fire was first.
My baby was first. I'm very, very happy to say that Fire, the one that I raised, was the first out of the gate. I can't believe it.
As the Pride move out, Only the coming weeks will tell whether they have what it takes to survive.
How this group is going to act together is an unknown. Fire always concerns me just because she's a bit of a stroppy female. For now, my baby girl is back where she's supposed to be.
At the start of their journey back to the wild are a group of younger lions. These 3 cubs are unrelated and don't have a strong natural bond, so bushwalks are important to help them form an alliance. Orange-furred Moyo has been shy and cautious around humans. His pride mates Carly and Mika are far more confident. In order for the program to work, Moyo must see humans as part of the pride.
Hey, my boy.
David wants to see if his confidence has grown.
I'm really pleased that just recently he's been showing a huge amount of progress. Now, he's just comfortable. He's still not going to come up and sit right next to me, but you can see certain behaviours that he's happy to do in our company, such as just grooming himself. That's actually quite a big step, because it means that he's feeling relaxed and he's able to concentrate on, the daily tasks of a lion, however small they may be. And just the last couple of days, he's made his first kill of a monitor lizard. And it's about the right age when he should be doing that kind of thing. So it's really good to hear that, and good to know that, these daily walks, but it's all building up in his mind, helping him to learn about his environment, start to interact with it, and of course now make his first kill. Within this group, we actually do have the complete opposite end of the spectrum in Mika. Her mother rejected her, and she was raised by a human from literally day one. Therefore, she finds it a little difficult to actually step back from the relationship with us. But, already she's understood the limits of the behaviours that she's allowed, and she's also starting to really interact with her environment. And again, that's what it's about. Carly here is the perfect blend of the two, aren't you? Yes. She'll come up for a bit of greeting, and then she'll go off and do her own thing. Good boy, Moyo.
Each of the cubs has a distinct personality that determines their place in the group.
What we've got here is actually a lot of dominance behaviour going on. Yes, it's playful, but there is more to it than that. The boxing, trying to get slightly higher than the other one, trying to push them down, that's designed to try and get a rise out of the other lion, and when they do, you slap them down. Now, what we can see is that Mika's doing a lot of this. She's testing Carly, and Carly's losing out.
Soon, Moyo joins the fight, and poor Carly must do her best to defend herself.
Moyo is obviously the biggest, the most dominant. He's a male. But it looks, based on this, Mika comes second, Carly's at the bottom. Mika's looking for the full sign of submission, but she's not giving Carly much of a chance to actually show it. The submission is when Carly will sit back with her head lowered and her ears back. Generally, their eyes flicker a lot as well. And that is what Mika's going for.
It's a painful lesson for Carly. Even as she tries to submit, her pride mates won't let up.
This is play. It's a particularly vicious-looking type of play, but it's an important part to life as a lion. It helps them to understand their place in the social world of lions, to work out between them who's dominant, who's least dominant, and that will follow through all their lives.
Carly will either have to toughen up or get used to life at the bottom of this pride's pecking order. After 2 years of preparation, 7 female lions called the Ingarmo Pride have been released into their semi-wild enclosure. At first light, David Youlden is keen to check on the pride's progress.
I've just come into the site just to see whether they've started to explore, just make sure that they're okay. But we've just come in at the southwestern gate. I've had a check on the telemetry and can't hear anything. I mean, right now they could be anywhere. They could have split up, they could be as a group, they could have killed something already. There's just no way of knowing. So we'll find them and see what they're up to.
The enclosure is vast, and the lions aren't close enough for David to receive a signal from their radio collars. So the search is on.
Stop here a second.
David soon picks up Athena's signal, but there's a problem.
The signal I get from that direction is the same strength as the signal I get from exactly the opposite direction. VHF just can't deal when you get into very close proximity. And that's when you have to start thinking about using eyesight.
Then he spots a lone lion.
We found Athena and she immediately got up and walked off. And I can see that she's stalking through this long grass. Now, I know that there are some impala down here. That's the alarm calls of zebra. And she's doing a full, proper stalk. She's using this open road area along the fence line to move round.
Athena uses the tall grass for cover. The zebra's alarm calls mean the game are alert to danger. And she's soon spotted.
It's bright daylight. She had to try and get across open grassland where these zebra were going to see her. The impala certainly did. So it's unsuccessful today, and it's going to take these lions a little time to, get back up to speed. But we haven't found the other 6 yet. So we'll leave Athena be for the moment and see if we can find the others. They could be anywhere.
In the wild, female lions will split from their pride for days at a time, and David's unconcerned by the discovery of this lone female. Now he's keen to find the others. With long grass, hills and trees for cover, they're hard to locate. Then David finds a sign of lion activity.
We've just found some very small parts, the remains of what looks like a wildebeest. There are drag marks going into this grassy area. That's Kwali, and she has a wildebeest to kill. Good girl. This is great news. I mean, Kwali was always an exceptional hunter, and yeah, she's already killed on the first night a wildebeest. Now, it's a juvenile wildebeest, and by the looks of it, she probably only killed it maybe a couple of hours ago at most. And so far, she's eaten all of the insides. But I suspect that she'll now stay within this area and just keep coming back and feeding on this. And what it shows is that even though the lions have gone through the pre-release training, and because we don't have enough funds to be able to build sites like this at the speed we need to, some of the lions have had to stay in captivity for longer than we'd hoped. But what Kwali is showing is that what they've learnt during those first stages, where we can take them out on walks and night encounters, is retained. And the evidence is right there.
David's pre-release training program has paid off perfectly, but finding a second lion alone could be cause for concern.
We do have to consider whether Kwali has fully integrated with the rest of the pride. Now, she's been with them in the holding enclosure a very long time, certainly enough to bond, but this is different circumstances. Has Kwali integrated into this group? Our pride is currently split in 3 locations, and it's going to take time to understand the dynamic within this group in this site.
David will return to search for the rest of the pride when they become more active at dusk. Day to day, David has to divide his time between many lions. He's at the nursery camp, where the youngest cubs in the program are about to face a new challenge.
We're going to take these 3 young cubs, Chundu, Chisa and Chobi, out for a bit of a walk. They are very young. They are not going to go very far at all. In fact, they might not even make it out the gate. But as an incentive, we're going to delay their feeding just a little and then feed them outside. The idea that they can start to feel a bit more comfortable about being out of their enclosure. Hey, little one. Wow. Wow. Who's coming first? That's it. Come on.
At 11 weeks old, it's the first time the cubs have been outside the enclosure.
Chobi here got a bit scared. This is the female. She's clearly the most nervous of the 3. And she's lost sight of her 2 brothers. So she's just calling at the moment just so they can team up. It helps if they answer back, but they haven't done. But as you can see them now. We don't know what they're saying. We don't fully understand each of the calls, but they do respond to us making that same kind of little sound. Really, it's just about making a noise so that they know where we are, and generally they'll come towards us. But at the moment, they're doing really well.
As a dominant member of the pride, David gives the cubs the confidence to explore.
They're not usually going to come out onto this open area. They'll stick along the periphery of the scrub because they just feel a bit more confident. But each time they come out here, they'll get a bit bolder until maybe in a month or so, we'll actually be able to get them maybe even 100 metres, which will be quite an achievement. For now, it's just a chance to get out here and listen to the birds and smell. There's various dung lying around. Just really start that experience for them.
One cub is already emerging as a leader.
In this case, it looks as though Chundu is very, very much the bold one. He's going to be the leader of this group, and the other 2 are going to follow. They both seem quite skittish, particularly the female, but all 3 of them are doing really, really well. Come on.
At this young age, the first walk is soon over. The cubs have earned a welcome feed.
It's going to feed them out here just so they can start to associate the outside with, you know, something good, not too scary. Hey, Chundu. Good boy. These 3 have done really, really well today. We've brought them out here and they've actually just been pootling around, playing with sticks and sniffing, just exploring. And they seem reasonably confident. So I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll actually be able to get them out into the bush proper, because they seem to be really enjoying it out here.
For the tiny cubs, the first hurdle on the road to a life in the bush is successfully crossed. That evening, David returns to the Ingarmo release site. He's had news that the 5 lions he was looking for this morning have been located close to the perimeter fence, and that Athena and Kwali are not with them.
This is Narnia, but I'm getting full signal from the other females that we didn't find this morning. So they are all here. Now, I actually do know that earlier on today, they killed a juvenile zebra, which is, again, fantastic news. But what I want to do is just have a look at these girls, maybe have a look and see how much of the carcass they've eaten, so we can gauge when they're most likely to hunt again. Oh, no, there we go. They're on the kill right in front of us.
The lions have made a phenomenal start to their independent lives.
Our 5 girls have a zebra kill. At the moment, Kenge is the only one that's finishing off what is left of this thing. Nala's nearby, and Ashanti, Narnia and Fire have decided to leave. Not quite sure where they're going. The chances are they're now going to go find water, but they actually have quite a long way to go at the moment to the nearest waterhole. And this is now Nala, who is the lowest within the pecking order. So I think Nala will probably stay on this kill for a little longer, just get the last pickings and then catch up with them later. Kenge is already coming through the grass behind us and starting to head in the same direction as the other girls. And it is just amazing to see how quickly, when Kenge walked away from us, that she disappears. Within 20 meters, she was gone, which is amazing. I really hope that that gives them a sense of the freedom that we want them to have. We've seen 2 successful kills today, both small. You know, the amount of meat is not going to sustain the lions long. They will have to hunt again in the next couple of days. So we'll have to see how that goes. Are they going to try and go for wildebeest? Are they going to try and go for zebra? We'll have to wait and see. But also we'll have to find out whether the pride comes back together. Last thing I saw of Ashanti, Fire and Narnia is they were heading off into the sunset and left Kenge and Nala behind. And here, Kwali's on her own. We know Athena's on her own. They've broken up to explore. We'll see, do they come back together again? But I'm really, really, really happy to see that they're successfully hunting in this site.
It's the end of a memorable day. But with the lions split into 3 groups, the future of the pride remains uncertain.
Good girl.
In central Zimbabwe, British conservationist David Youlden
Come on.
is attempting to save the African lion.
Fire was first. Our baby was first.
7 female lions, known as the Ingarmo Pride, have been successfully released into a specially built semi-wild enclosure. Now, they're about to be joined by 8-year-old male Milo, with whom it's hoped they'll breed. Their cubs will one day be returned to the wild. Dawn at Antelope Park. At the release site, the progress of 7 recently released female lions is being checked by David Youlden. Last time he visited the girls, they were split into 3 separate groups. David wants to be sure that the pride have regrouped before the dangerous introduction of a male can take place. He's greeted by 3 lions heading towards the waterhole: Narnia, Nala, and alpha female Ashanti.
And that's Ashanti roaring, and I can only assume that that's because they're now starting to feel comfortable in their area, treating it as their territory, and are therefore letting any other lions in the surrounding areas know that this is their land. But at the moment, I don't have Fire here, or Athena, or Kenge, or Kwali. I don't know where they are, but I'm hoping Ashanti will be the one to lead us to them.
Having found alpha female Ashanti, David's hunch is that the rest of her pride won't be far away.
At the moment, we're just
impressed by waterhole 1, and this is the favourite waterhole that the lions are obviously using a lot, just based on the paw prints that you can see in the ground around here. This is definitely their favourite one. Now, the shanty has already had her fill of water and is carried on down this road. So I'm going to keep on travelling, see if I can find them.
Soon, David finds what he's looking for.
1, 2, 3, 4, there they are. Just ahead of me, I can see the rest of the pride. Ashanti has already got there in front of us. Nala and Narnia are just arriving now. Not quite sure where the other 4 have come from, but it looks like a bit of a reunion going on. That'll do ya. I've found the whole pride, just sitting out, watching the world go by, nice and chilled. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that this pride is comfortable in itself. I've heard them roaring, so I know that they're treating this as their territory. So this pride is now ready to have a male introduced. What happens then really is anyone's guess.
Building a breeding pride of lions is extremely unpredictable. David's had trouble introducing adult males to females in the past. Conflicts are often aggressive, and females must be submissive, or they can be seriously injured. Occasionally, males have been known to kill females. But for the project to work, it's a risk that must be taken. Today, another male is ready to take the first step. All lions that are released are radio-collared, and now it's the turn of 8-year-old male Milo, an adult in the prime of his life.
This morning, he's going to get his collar, and then in the next couple of days, he'll get released in with the girls to our Ingarmo release site, and then our pride will be complete. Now, this is one very aggressive lion. He doesn't like people at all, but this time round, we have a dart gun. We can get him from a distance.
Darting this 200-kilogram killing machine is the unenviable task of Anthony Newell.
I've darted quite a few lions who've tried to eat me before, so it's not too much of an issue. The main concern is that the drug doesn't work or you have a bad dart. Then you've actually got to shoot him again. It's just going to make him even more annoyed, you know.
We dart him, we put a collar on, and then we get the heck out of there. Let him recover, which is no doubt going to do nothing to improve his overall mood and demeanour towards people. So I'm very glad that when we go into the release site, when this lion is roaming around, we'll be in a cage.
With such an aggressive male, Anthony's extremely cautious, but anxious to take the perfect shot.
Managed to get a perfect shot in, and already I can hear he's starting to calm down. It might take him a little while to fully go to sleep, simply because he has such a high testosterone level. There's a lot of adrenaline pumping through it. It might take a couple extra minutes than normal, but I think he's already starting to feel the effects. Will I be the first one in once he's asleep? I don't know. Was it bad if I say no?
Within a few minutes, Milo appears to be asleep, but no one can be sure that the drug has taken effect. While the team prepare outside the cage, it's down to Anthony to check that Milo's fully sedated. It's not a job for the faint-hearted. Throwing small pebbles is all that can be done to make the life or death judgment. Finally, the team get the all clear.
This is the last lion of the Ingarmo release pride to get their collar, so this is quite exciting. And it's not often that we get to get this close to a big male lion. He's so impressive. He's got a beautiful mane, he's in great condition, and he's a perfect choice for this pride. He's a strong, powerful lion, which hopefully all the females will enjoy and submit to. Right, slip that thing through.
Breathing's nice, temperature's okay.
Okay, sure that's tight enough? The collar is on. We've administered the penicillin just to help heal the dart wound. So in the next couple of minutes, the reversal drug will go in and we'll run.
Okay guys, the reversal's in. Let's get out.
Well, Milo has started to come around quite nicely. It was a smooth wake up. He's still obviously a little bit groggy, but he's looking around, he's looking alert. So I'm really happy with how that's gone. Obviously at the moment, this is one of the most important lions in the programme because he's going to be the father of the next generation that we actually release back into the wild. And tonight, this is his last night on his own because tomorrow he will meet his ladies.
It's been a busy day for David and there's one last task. 3 17-month-old lions are moving ever closer to their chance of release. They've bonded closely as a pride and David's anxious to see them make their first kill.
We've come for a walk with a group that we know as the 3Ks. Brothers and sisters, one brother, that's Gafara there lying on the ground. He's just been flattened by his sister Katanga. The smaller female is Kenya. These three do have quite distinct characters. Gafara really is a typical male. There's not a massive amount of energy, just sort of plods along, whilst Kenya tends to hang at the back a little. Really, this group is led by Katanga. Constantly, she's off to the sides, and you can see as she's moving through the grass, you know, she'll lift her head and really be scanning the area around her. She's the real hunter, she's the real leader in this group at the moment.
As lions grow older, each individual's role in the pride develops.
Within a mixed gender litter, the males usually start off being the bolder ones, whether that's just because they're a bit stupid, who knows, but they just kind of blunder around. It's somewhere around the 14, 15-month-old mark that the females start to come to the fore, and it's usually one in particular which will start to lead.
In the wild, female lions make almost all kills, and Katanga is starting to show signs she could make an accomplished hunter. But her early attempts at stalking leave a lot to be desired. With a herd of wildebeest still 70 metres away, she's easily spotted. And without the help of her lazy siblings, she'll have to work hard to make a kill.
Nice. These rocks are a real favourite with the lions on this walk. It's just somewhere nice that they can get up high, get a bit of a viewpoint. There's a bit of a water hole here so they can have a drink. So it's a nice place just to bring them and let them chill out and explore for a while.
It's not the outcome David wanted. These lions will have to learn fast, or they won't survive on their own. At the release site, the big day has arrived. The females of the Ingarmo Pride are soon to meet male Milo, with whom it's hoped they'll breed.
Today is a really important day for us because in a few hours' time, we're going to release one final lion into this release area. That is Milo, a fully grown adult and very stunning looking male. And that will complete the picture.
The girls have made this territory their own and have been successfully hunting for themselves. But could the introduction of the new male upset the balance of this well-bonded pride? One female is a particular worry.
You know, he's a big aggressive male. What I expect is he'll come out and just try and let these ladies know that he's the boss, and hopefully they will all submit very quickly. I do have a genuine fear for Fire because submitting to anyone is not really in her behaviour repertoire.
Then David makes an important discovery.
We're seeing quite a lot of playing within this pride, but also there's purring. Now, purring is quite a normal way for lions to articulate a bonding, basically. But also, a female that's in estrus will purr an awful lot, and these females will generally come on heat together.
With several females likely to be in heat, it's an exciting find.
Of course, one large and hairy male lion, the first thing he will pick up on is whether any of these females are in heat. Now, if it is Fire, who is the one female that is most likely to hit back, it might assist in that she actually really wants to be with a male at this point. All we can do is just let nature take its course and hope for the best, which is why I'm going to be nervous for the whole day.
At the Ingarmo release site, there's been an exciting discovery that several of the females are in heat. Now their lives are about to change forever. David Youlden is ready to release red-blooded adult male Milo into their enclosure.
Okay, stand by. In just a few moments, we're going to release Milo from the holding enclosures that are to the side of the release area here, through a gate about 60 metres or so in front of me. Now, what happens then really is anyone's guess. The females are pretty chilled out. When he approaches them, I think it's going to be really quite a tense thing, and we're just going to have to hope that none of them get hurt in the process. Oh, Fire, you don't want to be first, surely to God.
First to the fence is David's favourite, Fire.
Rather worryingly, she's just decided to come over and stand virtually in front of the release gate, so that's going to be the first line that Milo's going to see. So I'm a bit nervous, but there's nothing I can do. I have to leave it up to them now. So here we go.
As Milo is such an aggressive male, the Jeep has been fitted with protective bars for the team's safety.
Batten down the hatches.
Let's get all the voles back from the fence. Guys, everyone back from the fence.
The release is just moments away.
Leanne, please come in.
Carefully.
Please, would you go ahead, open the gate and release Milo?
The females are aware that something unusual is happening and close in on the release gate. Even David has no idea what will happen next.
Seems to have a welcoming party because the females are starting to come over, having heard him make a few growls. I think it's taking him a little while to come through simply because he has no concept of being free in an area like this, so he's probably a bit nervous.
Seeing Milo on the other side of the fence, Fire, Ashanti and Kenge move in for a closer look.
She looks quite excited, actually.
Raised, quivering tails communicate to Milo that these females are pleased to see him.
Some of the girls are now really excited. You can see Fire particularly is rubbing up and down against the fence. That's tense there.
Suddenly, Milo is free.
Interesting.
At first, there's no aggression towards the excited females. Milo's more interested in his new surroundings.
It looked like Fire actually stuck a head into the holding enclosure, and that enticed Milo to come out. And then I can see just the females really seem just quite excited that he's there, and they're sort of jumping up and greeting, almost enticing play. He seems, frankly, unawed by the whole thing and is now just marching off down the fence line and into the distance. This is where it all might kick off. That's Fire at the front.
Then Milo returns to greet feisty Fire, an extremely unpredictable female.
The first line up was Fire, and she actually went straight up to him and just scraped his nose a little, and then lay down in front of him in full submissive pose. Now, that might be because we think that she might be starting to come into estrus, and so she's going to be particularly interested in him. But I did have a fear before that she would be really quite aggressive towards him, but that seems to have gone okay. Go down the road, turn left onto the cut area.
The initial moments of release have gone well. Now Milo is pursued by 7 intrigued females as he sets out to explore his new territory.
My nerves have settled. He looks incredible out here. It's a good day. And stop there.
David follows at a distance so the lions can behave as naturally as possible.
Here come the girls.
At the waterhole, the surprisingly gentle encounters continue.
Just a really nice moment where he's had his drink, the girls have all had a drink. I'm not sure where he's going now, but our girls are now settling under their favourite tree. Once they got to the waterhole, the females clearly decided it's too hot to keep roaming around, so that's where they've stayed, and Milo's just wandered off into the distance. And actually Milo will not spend a huge amount of time with the females, maybe more so in the first few days, but yeah, it's just going to be really exciting to see how they get on and how this pride develops.
Next day at Antelope Park, David has received exciting news from the lion handlers. One of the young lions he was with yesterday has made a kill.
It's pretty early morning, but I've had a radio call to say that Kutanga, one of our young females, has managed to bring down an adult wildebeest. But it's just really good to hear that these kills are being made. The lions are successfully hunting both at night and during the day. This is how the program works, and it can happen at any moment. So lion over, lion kill, we're off to sea.
Operations manager Nathan Webb saw the kill.
Did the others help at all?
Nothing. This grass here, this is where it all took place. Eh? See, this is freshly chewed grass. So this wildebeest was eating when she got hold of it.
So a proper stalk. Nicely done.
She's doing well. Eh? But no, her brother and sister, no help whatsoever.
No help. Kutanga seems to be the main culprit for this group, and she's really doing well. She's clearly used the grass as cover and has stalked such that this wildebeest didn't know she was coming. I mean, that's really impressive for a 17-month-old lion. And to give an idea of how strong these animals can be, this lion has dragged what is about 150 kgs of wildebeest down into a slightly more sheltered spot where she's now enjoying a very well-earned meal.
David's encouraged that Kutanga is showing such remarkable hunting skills. One day, this promising lion and her siblings will live independently like the Ingarmo Pride, who are already successfully hunting at the release site.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 zebra, 5 wildebeest. Each time we're coming in, we're just doing a count of the various herds of each species that we come across, because that will give us an idea whether the lions have successfully hunted anything. There were only 10 zebra in that herd, and yesterday they were a herd of 12.
David's using Milo's radio collar signal to track him down. He's keen to see if the new male's spending time with any particular females.
I just want to see how is he interacting with the group, and also is he showing particular interest in any 1 or 2 females, in which case breeding might start fairly soon. Signal on the shanty. Milo's quite strong. Oh, there's the second one. There's Milo.
Just meters away from Milo are alpha female Ashanti and Kenge.
Kenge greeting to Ashanti.
These are 2 lions that David suspects are on heat. During a courtship that lasts around 2 days, males can be extremely violent, so Ashanti and Kenge will have to be cautious and submissive when greeted by this impressive male.
Milo is king of this territory, and the girls do have to show due deference to the king. So as he comes past, they lower their heads, and you can just hear from the sounds that they were making that they're actually feeling a little intimidated by him.
And frankly, who wouldn't? It's so incredible just to be out here and to be able to watch these lions interact and to see that they are acting as you would expect within a wild pride.
The successful introduction of Milo to the Ingarmo Pride's females moves the project one step closer to breeding cubs that can one day be released into the wilds of Africa. Africa is home to the world's most incredible animals, but its wildlife is under threat. Even its most iconic predator is at risk. Numbers of lions are in rapid decline. British conservationist David Youlden has serious concerns.
Kenya, of all countries, Kenya is predicting total extinction within 20 years. This species is heading to the endangered list, and it has a real chance of getting into a crisis point in the next 2 decades.
But in central Zimbabwe, David's trying to find a solution. In a radical conservation program, he's preparing captive-bred lions for life in the wild. At Antelope Park, more than 80 lions learn to hunt and live as close-knit prides under the guidance of David Youlden and teams of experienced lion handlers. Some of the project's older lions have just been released into a semi-wild enclosure where it's hoped they'll breed. But the youngest lions in the park have also reached a crucial stage in their journey through the release program. Over the last month, these cubs have been fed milk and mincemeat. Now they're ready for a change of diet.
So, you can have that bit. Here we go. You can have that bit there. We've got Chundu, we've got Chisa, and we've got Chobi. Chobi is the female in the group. And this is the first time they're getting actual chunks of meat. Lion cubs instantly recognize meat. You don't have to teach them. But I mean, the first time they see it, it takes them a couple of sniffs, then they give it a lick, and then that's it, they're off. If we just look at Chisa, he's moved the meat round to the side of his mouth, because at the sides they've got what are called carnassals, which are very jagged, pointed teeth, and that they use to just kind of slice off the chunks that they need. Now, we can see also Chisa is using his dew claws, much like thumbs. He's digging into the meat to hold it in place so that he can then try and tear meat away. Looks like Chundu's got at least one claw in, but Chobi hasn't quite understood this yet. And it's not something you can teach them. Some immediately do it, and others actually take quite a long time. The only way you can try and encourage them is to possibly, there we go, try and take the meat away, and hopefully she will then automatically put her claws in order to try and keep hold of it. Usually they get this all by themselves, but some will take a lot longer than the others. Chundu here at the moment, he's just constantly chewing and chewing and chewing. And by moving them onto meat, it's really helping just build up the jaw muscles, but also now they're getting meat, we'll see these cubs grow very, very quickly from here. Gradually, meat will replace milk in their diet. And these three are growing and developing exactly as we'd expect. You can see just on their fur, the baby fur is almost gone now. They're looking a little scruffy. And probably over the next month, their more adult fur will start to come through. They'll flush a nice orange colour and turn into proper little lions.
The cubs are at a turning point in their lives. They'll soon be exposed to prey animals and begin the first steps towards learning to hunt and their chance of freedom. takes at least 3 years of rigorous training before lions can be considered for release. And with more than 100 lions split between the programme sites in Zimbabwe and Zambia, an enormous amount of time and money is invested in every one of the lions. At the forefront of the release programme are red-blooded male Milo and 7 female lions making up the Ingarmo Pride. Set free in a semi-wild enclosure where it's hoped they'll breed, these lions are now the subject of intensive observation. As the sun sets, David is taking one last look at the Pride before he leaves for the Zambia release site. He's handing over to researcher Jackie Kirk, who'll study the life of this pioneering pride.
The whole purpose of the research that we're doing really is for one thing, and that is to be able to compare the behaviour of these lions in a release site to a wild pride. Are they acting in the way that we would expect them to? If they are, then when their cubs are born here, they will be raised in a natural way, and we can therefore be sure that they really have as good a chance as any lion when they're put into the wild. And everything so far is showing us that, yes, these lions are behaving naturally. Their kill rates are normal, the social interactions are normal, but it's going to be a long process, many, many months of data collection before we have a really complete picture. We can make a full analysis.
To collect as much information as possible, the Pride will be tracked day and night.
The sun really is just disappearing over the horizon. It's getting cooler and they're starting to wake up and get on with whatever their evening activity is going to be. Could be hunting, they might just sleep all night. I don't know, but that's the exciting thing, is we don't know how they're spending their time yet, and part of the data is to try and understand at any given part of a day or night, what are these lions doing? How are they spending their time?
As dusk falls, the females get more active.
Since the lions have moved away from Waterhole 1, there are now some zebra coming into that area, and Kwali and Fire have turned around and headed straight back through the long grass. It's difficult to see at the moment. Fire is about 10 metres into the long grass, kind of on the left-hand side. I think Kwali's slightly ahead of her, but the grass is just above their head height. So every so often all you can see is just a slight dark shape moving. At some point, one of the two is going to start chasing, the zebra will run.
Having already made several kills, Kwali is the Pride's most successful hunter. But David's never actually witnessed her make a kill. This would be a first.
There we go. Yeah, you can see, I think that's Kwali who's chasing through. I think she's a little far behind them, but that's not bad. Fire hasn't joined in. So at this point, I have no idea whether they're successful, but we have seen Kwali being really forthcoming when it comes to hunting. So now we just have to see whether she's coming back empty-handed or not.
Sadly, Kwali's missed her chance to impress David.
Clearly she was unsuccessful, but you know, she's heading back to the Pride and they're quite active. I reckon at some point tonight they might make a kill.
Apart from hunting, there's another important behaviour for David to monitor.
All of the females at the moment are going to meet up with Milo. Most of the time in a pride, the male actually is away from the females, and then the females will come back and meet up with him, or he'll go off at like days at a time just to patrol his territory. So it's completely normal. They split, come back together. Now the pride have found Milo. There's been a bit of greeting, a bit of just like staring at him. And actually, the girls have carried on walking.
8-year-old Milo has been in the release site a few days. He's been well received by the females, but like males in the wild, he's spending most of his time alone.
The sound of a lion roaring is absolutely incredible. Now, it's actually audible 8 kilometres, about 5 miles away, and that's an extraordinary distance to be able to throw your voice. When you're out, as it's dark now, and you hear that sound, is the most magical sound in Africa.
I've seen him scent mark, and now we're hearing him roar, which makes me believe that he's starting to really take ownership of this area.
With Milo and the females exhibiting natural behaviour, the hard work of the release programme is starting to pay off. At Antelope Park's release site in central Zimbabwe, male Milo and the 7 females of the Ingarmo Pride have settled well. But having monitored them all day, late in the evening, David Youlden spots a problem with one of the females.
Athena's walked past us and she's got really a very bad limp at the moment. It's probably an injury in the wrist, and it's most likely that during a hunt, she's probably slipped down a hole or something and just sprained it.
Set free to survive without human help, Athena must now rely on the Pride to feed and care for her. But the Pride are moving on fast.
However hard it might be, we will not intervene. And it's a harsh reality, but if we're going to give these animals the opportunity to live a wild life, then they're going to have to take the ups and the knocks, the downs. She's clearly wanting to keep up with the rest of the Pride, and they will just leave her behind.
Injured and alone, Athena won't be able to hunt. If she can't feed herself, she won't survive. Athena calls out to her Pride.
As I'm leaving it at the moment, 5 of the girls are together, and Athena, just because of her injured leg, is somewhere just behind. I can hear her calling, but I can see one of the females looks as though she's actually going to go back for her.
To David's surprise, the Pride starts to return.
Oh, there's another female coming as well. Oh, that makes me feel better. I thought Athena was going to spend the night on her own. They're all coming. That social bond really is very strong amongst the Pride, and that's a really good sign for this release site. And in terms of its success, one of our key factors was to have a socially stable Pride. And part of that is, of course, they are looking out for each other.
It's a great relief, as David must now leave this Zimbabwean Pride to continue his work with the lions at the programme's other site in Zambia.
It's so difficult to think that tomorrow morning I don't get to wake up and spend time with them. But I will definitely be back to Antelope Park to catch up with them very, very soon, because, yeah, this is tough. This is really tough.
The Pride will be monitored daily, and David will return to witness the next key event in the lives of this groundbreaking group. Next day, and David leaves Antelope Park after 3 successful months. Heading north from Zimbabwe, his destination is the Lion Conservation Project's other site in the Mosi-oa-Tunya National Park in Zambia. Last time David was here, several captive-born lions were brought in from South Africa to become part of the release programme.
Hello.
Male Rwanda and his sisters Rafiji and Ruma were just 10 months old when they arrived in Zambia.
Come on.
But they were shy and withdrawn. It was a big problem that needed to be resolved.
These are not playing in the way and to the amount that we expect from any of our lions.
Five months later, and the youngsters have made an important breakthrough. Daily bushwalks with dedicated lion handlers has taught them confidence and a sense of fun.
Here he comes.
But they're yet to make a successful kill, and David wants to see progress.
These 3 lions are extremely easy to tell apart. Rwanda is obviously the male in the group, and then you've got the 2 girls. Ruma, on the right-hand side with a full-length tail,
and Rafiji, who now has a very short tail. When Rafiji arrived with us, she had a very distinct curl at the end of her tail, and just over time, the bone started to press through the skin and actually created an infection. So we had to remove her tail, really quite possibly to save her life later on. Lions use their tails to communicate. There's a black tuft on the end which they can wave around and let the others kind of know where they are. So she's going to be a little hampered, but the operation went extremely well. She seems quite happy in herself, and I'm sure she'll be able to adapt to life without that little end bit.
Removing the end of Rafiji's tail was a last resort for the lion team, but with her life threatened, it was the vet's only option. Now, 15 months old, this group is the perfect age to start hunting successfully.
The wind direction that we've got is that it's actually coming this way, so the lions are moving really into the wind. I can only assume that there's some kind of scent being carried on the wind from this direction. They're picking it up and they're just showing interest, because both Rwanda and Ruma seem really quite intent on something that is that way. Those are the two hunters in this group at the moment. Rafiji is very much the playful of the three, but it's definitely Rwanda and Ruma. If there's something out there, it's them that's going to find it. Come on.
Moments later, Ruma spots movement in the thick bush.
Ahead of us, a troop of baboon is coming through the area, and as you can see, all the lions have heard the sound and are now stalking to their location, which is only about 50 metres ahead. Now, they probably won't be able to get one of the adults, but they might get one of the youngsters.
Baboons are clever, alert, and extremely difficult to catch.
That's Ruma. Nice stalk. And she's got a bit of cover between her and the baboon, which is good. I can't see the other two at the moment, but as far as I know, they're heading up on the right-hand side, and the troop is spread through here. Actually, yeah, there's Rwanda. Nice, again, nice stalking mode, and Rafiji sitting down. Ruma started that chase. I think probably her nearest baboon was about 30 metres, which is the right distance for lions to have a reasonable chance of catching something. I was just baboon and lions running everywhere. So our next step is to try and relocate any of the lions and see if they were successful.
It's a bad sign.
What?
One lion soon returns.
Okay, this is Rafiji coming back. How did you do? Hello, yes. Did you get close? Rafiji is not the best hunter. She's just quite a thick-set, large lion, and therefore necessarily a little bit slower. She's more of a loving kind of a lion than a hunter. But there's quite a lot of vocalization now, and that's quite often, once they've had a hunt, particularly if it's unsuccessful, they'll come back to the main pride, just re-establish the bonds. I think I can see Ruma. Antelope. Good girl, yes. I don't know, she's telling us about which way she went. I went left. Rwanda went right. Who knows? And the final lion to return is Brother Rwanda. Empty-handed.
It's a promising hunt from the young lions, but they may have to choose some easier prey before they'll make their first successful kill.
When these cubs first arrived, they were not playful, they were not confident, and the development from then to now is absolutely huge, and that is because every single day they're out here in their natural environment and learning about it. From today, I think we can see that Rafiji is not a hunter. She's unlikely to add too much to the hunting ability for a while. But Ruma and Rwanda, they've clearly got some technique to work on. But yeah, it's amazing to see how they've developed in the program, and that will continue.
Next day at the lion enclosures, David's checking on a Pride member about whom he's received regular updates. 2.5-year-old Keela has been moved from her Pride to a separate enclosure. And this morning, David's greeted by an incredible sight.
Something unbelievably special has happened, because this morning, Keela has given birth. I thought I was just coming up here this morning to, just see how the Pride are doing. I had no idea I was going to be the first human to see and meet this cub. It's really quite a special moment.
The lone cub is completely helpless.
It's only one cub, and it can't be more than a few hours old at this point. From what I can see, this little cub looks pretty strong. He's already moving around. I think it might be a male. Difficult to tell from this distance. Very, very spotty, which is normal for cubs. It's part of hides them from predators. But this is the first lion born to the program here in Zambia, and he or she is simply stunning.
Although this is her first cub, David hopes Keela will prove to be a good mother.
Occasionally, a female will abandon her cub, but the vast majority all take to it immediately with no problem at all. So obviously we'll keep an eye over the next couple of days and just make sure that she is feeding it, she is responding to it when it's calling. She's now sitting next to it. Haven't seen her feed it yet, but for all I know, she did that 20 minutes ago. It's very exciting. We'll have to start thinking of names and yeah, she looks like a radiant mother, eh?
The tiny cub won't open its eyes for the first week of its life. But if it survives this crucial time, there's hope that it will be another successful addition to the program's important Zambian prides. For the last 6 years, British conservationist David Youlden has been working to help save the African lion. In Zimbabwe and Zambia, he helps care for more than 100 captive-bred lions as part of a radical conservation program.
The world has to understand this species is disappearing and rapidly. Time is running out.
In Zimbabwe, the program has already successfully released the Ingarmo Pride into a semi-wild environment where it's hoped they'll breed. Now the oldest lions in Zambia are moving close to their own chance of freedom. The Mosi-oa-Tunya National Park in Zambia is home to a dazzling variety of wild animals. It's here that the African Lion and Environmental Research Trust has one of its major conservation sites, where captive-bred lions of all ages are given the opportunity to learn how to hunt and live in the wild. Today, David's catching up with Zulu and his pride in their 900-acre enclosure in the Dambwa forest, where it's hoped they can one day be released.
They're looking extremely jumpy, lots of energy, so hopefully we're in for an interesting evening. I think as the sun goes down, they'll start to focus a bit more, but for now, it's just amazing to see them running around and enjoying each other's company.
6 months ago, David had to say goodbye to this pride when they were sedated and transported 10 kilometers to their new purpose-built release site.
1, 2, 3.
I can only assume it's the same as when my mother sent me off to university. You know, she just had to give away a lot of the closeness that was there.
It was a nerve-wracking move for David and his team of lion handlers.
The drugs are wearing off, so we just have to make as little noise as possible. Otherwise, they might suddenly leap to their feet.
Go, 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 go. Now we really get to see this group form together and go through those final stages before they actually get a release, which is, you know, just terribly exciting stuff.
Since then, the pride has made remarkable progress. This evening, David's taking 5 of them on a night hunt to see how they're adapting to their new environment.
Pride is right around us at the moment. This is Leia. You can tell her, because if you look at her ears, her right ear just is slightly on the skew. At the front is Loma, who, from quite a timid cub and very much down the pack within the pride, she's the one that's constantly out the front and usually is the first to spot game, and then the other girls come in and do something about it. We've also got Toka here at the front. Somewhere behind, oh there he is Zulu. The final lion making up this group of 5 this evening is Kwandi, who is so much darker than the other 2 girls. It's specifically Leia and Kwandi that have had the actual success, but just keep an eye on everything, really. This is an awesome hunting group.
If these pride mates continue to be successful, they'll be permanently released into their 900-acre enclosure where they can live independently without human intervention. With this in mind, David will be paying them extra special attention.
It's starting to get dark now, so in a few moments I'm going to switch on my trusty red light. And this allows us to just keep an eye on what's going on, but it's red, which will lessen our impact on the activities of the lions and also on the animals that they're trying to hunt.
This release site is home to impala, giraffes, buffalo, and a variety of small antelopes, large numbers of prey species that the pride must learn how to hunt.
Each different type of game is going to require a slightly different technique. To bring down a very fast impala is a completely different skill to bringing down a large and heavy animal like a zebra. So just through trying to hunt each of those species, they'll gradually learn what is the best technique.
In the pitch dark, it's hard for David to locate game animals. Then he spots a herd of impala.
There's a huge amount of eyes about 300 meters to my left. Now, the lions are somewhere in that direction, probably also about 200 meters. Now, there's actually quite a lot of open space in between them and these animals, so I don't know how they're going to do.
The pride is at least 100 meters from the impala, and with open ground in between, it would take an extremely skillful hunt to chase one down.
They are very quick, they're very observant. There's lots of eyes to keep the lookout, and this is very flat and open ground.
The lions close in.
They're getting, oh, but there's a chase. There we go. There.
Suddenly, one female heads for the impala. Lions accelerate quickly to around 35 miles per hour, but the scattering impala can reach almost double this speed.
There's impala running everywhere. Now, that looks as though it's probably Loma that's doing the chase. The question is, are the others waiting in ambush? She seems to be closing in on this one individual.
Loma persists in tracking a lone impala, but only an ambush by one of her pride would take down this extremely fast antelope.
Oh, no, I think she's slowed down. Lions can really only keep up any kind of top speed for about
maybe 300 meters if they're lucky. And so I think she's let that one go. That was mayhem. I mean, simply just impala running all over the place.
In the darkness, the rest of the lions are hard to locate.
During a chase, each lion basically picks the target it thinks it's got the best chance on, and it's not necessarily that they will all pick the same one. There they are. And that's probably one reason why lions aren't the most successful hunters out. A lot of the time it's just animals running everywhere.
The hunt is unsuccessful, but David sees promise in the Pride.
What has impressed me so far this evening is just how well bonded this group is. They've stuck together as they've walked, and even despite being scattered around the bush during this hunt, they all came back together again very, very quickly.
Although tonight's hunt didn't go well, it seems like this close-knit group are a step closer to successfully fending for themselves. Next day at the Damboa Forest enclosures, David checks on a Pride member who was missing from last night's hunt.
Hello, Keela. Where's your cub?
2.5-year-old Keela has been separated from the Pride. This first-time mother has a cub barely a day old. With its eyes still closed, the tiny cub is completely helpless, but Keela appears to be caring for it well.
I can see he's over there in the leaf litter. I've already seen him look up, so that's good. She must be feeding him. But yeah, I guess it's probably just another day of sleeping for the youngster. Can you see him? Yeah. Our expectation of this one cub surviving is actually quite low. But this cub has made it through the first night. That's a good sign, which means there's probably not any huge abnormality in its internal system, which is quite a regular thing for a first litter. Cubs are quite often born with enlarged or deformed hearts, or their lungs have a problem, and usually would die within the first few hours. It's a very encouraging sign, but you know, until really like a week on, it's just fingers crossed. We don't interfere at all at this stage. It is purely instinctual. And so we'll just give her space to do what she needs to do. She is such a gorgeous lion. She's really placid, very friendly, very calm. And of all of the females that we have here, I would have to say that Keela really is just likely to be the best mother. She just seems a very patient kind of a lion. And she does seem to be doing very well.
If this special cub survives its first week, there's a good chance it will soon meet the rest of its successful family. On the banks of the majestic Zambezi River in Zambia lies Mosi-oa-Tunya National Park, home to a radical lion conservation program. Here, captive-bred lions of all ages are given the opportunity to learn how to survive in the wild. Earlier in the year, 2 5-month-old cubs joined the Lion Release Project. They'd been raised by a family in South Africa.
Hello.
The sisters, called Bemba and Bisa, were used to getting the upper hand with humans. For everyone's safety, that had to change.
I need her to understand that I'm more dominant than her, and that if I want the stick, then she's going to have to give it up.
I think you might be quite a headstrong little lady. Good girl.
Now 10 months old, the sisters have adapted well to their new environment. After daily bushwalks, they see their handlers as dominant members of the Pride, and their instincts have started to kick in.
They have changed enormously. Not only are they significantly larger than when I last saw them, but their characters have really diverged.
Bisa is so alert, so into everything. She's chasing absolutely every opportunity. She's already made a kill on an impala, and she's caught a baboon as well. On that occasion, the parents of the baboon came and beat Bisa up and got their baby back unharmed, which is good. But she's into everything. She's extremely energetic. Bemba is still a very calm, very quiet and very reserved young female. She's just moseying along in her own good time.
With her curly tail, Bisa is easy to distinguish from her much smaller and less confident sister, Bemba. Today's bushwalk gives David the opportunity to see how both siblings have developed. Not all lions are fond of water, so how the sisters react is a good test.
It does seem that Bemba is first in, but being the bigger and bolder lion, Bisa then takes over.
The two girls have no fear of water and just want to have fun.
If Bemba carries on, she's going to get a beating.
Soon, the exuberant youngsters start to play rough, but Bemba is totally outgunned by her bigger and more dominant sister, Bisa. If the fight gets out of control, Bemba won't stand a chance.
All of that behaviour is learning development skills for hunting later on, and of course just building up their overall stamina and muscles, which is all going to be necessary later when they have to pull down something as big as a zebra. Bisa really has an upper hand here just because she is bigger than her sister. So even despite character differences, just that extra bulk, she's going to keep it for a long time.
Soon, the siblings go their separate ways. Then, confident Bisa shows a sign that she's progressing well as a hunter.
She's checking under these trees. She's specifically looking for monitor lizards because she's already learnt that that's a good place for them to hide. So even amongst the play, she's actually still checking out those opportunities, which is a really good sign of her development.
These highly playful and distinctly different sisters still have much to learn.
Move along. Come on.
For now, a bushwalk is an opportunity for fun, but it's important that they maintain their close bond. In just a few months, they'll double in size, and their teamwork will be put to the test when they start to hunt. For the older lions at the Dambois Forest release site, bushwalks are all about learning to hunt successfully as a pride.
The lions that we're going to take out this morning are Rusha, Rundi, Temi and Swana. These are the four youngest within the pride that we have at Dambois. Hopefully we'll find game today and I can just get an impression of how they're working together as a group. Come, 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 come.
Joining these four females is alpha male Zulu. These 5 lions have made many bushwalks into areas full of prey species, and they've become adept hunters. But success during the daylight hours is extremely rare.
And we have impala here.
With impala close by, the pride members are soon alert.
Actually, they look as though there might be some puku and wildebeest in the thick stuff over here. Swan is noticed first. She's headed off for a left flank. Zulu, typical male, is going for a direct approach, which may well scare the animals before the girls get a chance.
Several prey species are hiding out just a few hundred meters away, and with the whole pride stalking them, there's a chance of a kill.
It seems at the moment that actually the Zulu is the one up front and showing most interest. Oh, 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 oh. There.
In a flash, the hunt is on.
One of the females, and I can't tell which at the moment, is chasing very close behind what looks like a puku.
but it does look as though it might have got away from her. Yeah.
David and the team give chase. Pursued by the lone female, the puku, a species of small antelope, begins to tire.
There she is. She's still going. If it goes back that way, it might run into the others. There we go, stop.
In the distance, one of the pride ambushes the puku.
Stand. I can't tell at this point which female has done all of the work. Is that Swana? That all happened, or it started quite quickly. We thought that they were heading towards a mixed herd of wildebeest, zebra and some impala. But actually, as Zulu was moving through, he stumbled across a puku in the long grass. It started to run, he sprinted, but he just couldn't keep up. But Swana took over the chase. Now, what's been really interesting about this morning is that lions really can't run for very far. But Swana actually covered about 1.5 kilometres on this. She went for the stamina idea, which is not particularly normal. And although she didn't go particularly quickly, the puku was already somewhat tired, so she simply pushed it back into Zulu, who made the final takedown for his second kill here in the Dambo Forest and his 5th overall.
Soon, the rest of the lions join Zulu and Swana at the kill.
Just in terms of the dynamic here of eating, Zulu, I mean, you can just see from here, he is so much bigger than the females, and he's pretty much going to get what he wants. Every so often, he's letting out a very easily understandable growl. That's just to let the females know their place, and if he's eating his bit, they have to back off. But what you're also hearing from the girls is almost like a whining noise. They're making kind of noises that will try and appease the master to allow them to share his kill. This area is going to be these lions' future permanent home. And so it's important that they understand their territory, that they can learn to hunt within the different habitat types that are around here. And I think this is going to be a very important lesson for them that they will learn and take forward.
The pride enjoys a well-earned meal. They've proved they have what it takes to survive on their own. Soon they'll be released to fend for themselves and breed.
Everyone is incredibly proud of how well these lions are doing. And next year, they're going to have cubs. It's a certainty. Of course, things might go wrong, but every sign at the moment is that the program is working exactly as we'd hoped, and these lions are doing what they need to do. And yeah, it's so unbelievably exciting. And they are the future. That is what this program is about. It's a long road, but it's all so worth it and so necessary.
The Radical Lion Conservation Program is moving towards ever greater success. The youngest lion in the project is now a week old. His mother, Keela, has been temporarily removed from the enclosure, so David can take a closer look at the tiny cub, affectionately known as Special K.
The main concern for us, obviously, is that Keela is looking after him and, in particular, feeding him. Now, we have seen her feed him and clean him, and just from looking at him now, I can see that his tummy is quite nice and full. And the other thing that I can see is just his eyes. Now, they're closed just previously, but he is opening them. He'll start to be able to see light and shade, and then the varying shadows will improve. But really, it's not till 5 or 6 weeks when their sight really has formed. But he seems to be developing well, and from this close, I can confirm he is definitely male. I don't want to leave Keela away from him for too long, so I'm going to head back out and let her back in so that she can carry on looking after him.
With the care of first-time mother Keela, there's every hope that the tiny cub might survive.
Just all the right maternal instincts are there. It's just wonderful to watch.
This new edition marks a successful end to a remarkable year in the life of David Youlden and the groundbreaking Lion Introduction Programme.
That cub, of course, is incredibly important because Special K, as he's known now, he is the next generation of lions to go through the programme here and end up being released.